Welcome back, South Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Welcome back. Oh, I'm hearing myself, Mac. It's like I'm somewhere else. Like last week when I heard your voice when I was out of town. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. First and foremost, before we get to the pleasantries, Mac, I want to thank Kevin Emmons for stepping in last week as I was out of town. Great job, Kev. Great job by all of you. I saw the jokes in the comments. I heard the jokes on the show.
Is he all right? Is Kevin shell shocked? Is he gonna be fine from post?
I think Kevin's just fine. I think he's ready for his return engagement. He enjoyed it, and I was wondering, how he would survive you most of all. But
talk to my wife. I don't know.
Either way,
she's figured it out.
Either way, Mac, we're glad you're here, and I'm glad I'm here, and we're glad Rod's here too.
And our greenery.
We've got a little greenery here. We got a lot of big action this week, and Tyrone, you know what we need to talk about most of all today, and that is, I know we'll have a lot of people here. There'll be a lot of people at Wheaton Field on Friday night, and everybody knows the big game is just around the corner. But first, we got a lot of stuff to cover. I want to thank our presenting sponsor, the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. In less than 3 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and has dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. Also, always want to shout out our buddy Dave O'Sullivan, the founder of South Jersey Glory Days. You may be watching this on his Facebook page. You may be reading my stories on his website, sjglorydays.com. Sully does a great job. I was covering for Sully on Friday night in our game of the week last week, Mac. Let's get right into it.
Oh, my, yep.
Holy Spirit in Camden. The Spartans come away with a win in this one, 23-12. At Farnham Park. It was a beautiful night for most of the night. Got a little bit of rain at the end, but two things stood out to me in this game, Mac. First off was this, special teams. Right, you always say if you end a possession with a kick, you're probably winning.
I didn't make it up either. Some guys that are much older than me and wiser did make it up. Ended a kick, and every possession on a kick, you're going to win a game.
Camden ended 2 on a kick. One of them went 23 yards, a punt that set up the first score for Spirit. The second punt went to about the 2-yard line. Its own 2-yard line was caught by Spirit. Set up 10 early points. Spirit ends up getting out to a 17-0 lead. They win this thing by 9, and guess what? Or 11, I'm sorry. And they kicked 3 field goals.
Hitting yardage. It's a lot, when you look at a field, and not to get geeky, but when you kind of see that yardage and only having to go 40 to score, and if you got a kicker and on the flip side of Holy Spirit kicking field goals, I mean, I've been in games where our teams have actually scored more touchdowns and lost games.
Yeah. Because
the other team field position and kicking the game. And the kicking game.
Well, look, Mason Forte is one of the best kickers in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He missed a couple in the opener against Millville. It was very uncharacteristic. Since then, he's been money. He was money against Camden. A couple of his kicks probably would have been good from 45, 50 yards. He really was on fire. That's the one thing that stood out, special teams. The second thing that stood out is I don't think I've ever watched a game in my life, watching football, where a team blitzed the A-gap on every snap. And I'm not exaggerating. Spirit blitzed the A-gap every snap with either Nick Medina, lacrosse player, really good lacrosse player as well, or they brought a teammate of his and sent 2 of them up the A-gap. But
look, double A-gap blitz. I mean, like
every play.
I was going to say, it was a Jimmy Johnson. I remember there was an article on Jimmy Johnson on the Sports Illustrated back, Jimmy, the Eagles guy, right? Long-time DC.
Yeah.
Right.
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson.
Jimmy.
Jim Johnson. My bad. Sorry. Jim Johnson. He loved the double A pressure.
Yeah,
loved it. Well, my dad sends me the article and goes, hey, look, I guess I was a genius. Pensacola High would double A gap. They would take their safety and walk down the A gaps, split it out. They'd have a 6-man front. The center's got to pick and choose where they go and what they call. My point was they weren't doing it every play.
Right.
But you're basically saying we're going to put pressure. We're going to make your center make a choice. You're going to have to down scheme block. If you're going to pull a guy, you better pull check, and you better your center's got to block that man away. There's a lot going on when you put that double A gap pressure on.
Well, and when you look at the way the game played out, there was a couple things that stood out to me, right? You had Medina was excellent. I mean, his absolute, I don't know what you want to call it, conditioning, right, was unstoppable. He just kept going and going and going and going. The other side of it, too, was Bronson, the quarterback for Camden, who he did everything he could, Mac. I mean, he created plays. I mean, sometimes they lost outside, contained. Brunson was on the corner. He's running. He's finding guys downfield. By the end of the game, I really felt for him. I knew he was exhausted. And he led them back, led them right within striking distance. But I had to say, that's watching Medina. He had 2 sacks. Another teammate had 3. Another teammate had 2. They had Matt Abbott, who actually started the week as a safety. And defensive coordinator Charlie Roman put him down in the box for the week and said, you're going to be playing linebacker. And it worked out pretty well. He came away with a couple of sacks.
Right.
He also had a key reception that almost went the distance.
If you're doing stuff in the double A, if you're doing A-gap blitzes and you're playing a cover, some sort of cover 0, cover 1, you better have backers down in the box that can tackle, because he's probably playing, I didn't see the film, but he's probably in some sort of 6'3" type look. And, those guys got to make this, they got to make tackles. And the problem or the issue is with some of those sellout, bring it all blitzes. It's good on the board, but one guy spits, you're done. So credit Spirit for not only handling those gaps, and Medina making, now obviously well-conditioned athlete too, but when coach tells you, Rob, when coach says, look, you're flying A-gaps all weekend, you're like, all right, I'm in, right? Like every play.
Yep.
That gives you another boost of adrenaline as well, for sure.
Yeah, and I really liked how Camden High responded. They ended up putting some things together. I mean, if you took the first, you can't take the first 2 quarters away, but after that, I thought Camden's defense did great when they were backed up in the red zone. I thought that things came alive on offense as the game went on. I think it was just Spirit, they came in, they were ready to go. And, I'm not going to say it had anything to do with the prep or not, or preparation. I can't say prep, or else you think I'm talking about St. Augustine. But,
or St. Joe's.
Or St. Joe's or Bishop Eustace. But, when teams aren't accustomed to playing Holy Spirit, which some of the teams that face them are accustomed to doing it year in, year out, such as St. Augustine, when you're not accustomed to that, the pressure they bring, the stress they're going to put on you, how well they maneuver when they come out, they're meticulous, they're tough. And I thought that part of that was not a surprise, but that started the game in their favor. I think when you're used to seeing them, you know what they're going to bring to the table.
Right.
And this is a matchup with the West Jersey Football League realignment, where, next year Camden will go down to Absecon and play them, and they'll know exactly what to expect. It's different. You see some new teams. So it was a good game. It lived up to the hype. Now, there were a lot of good games last week, and we got a lot of them that we're going to touch on.
Yep.
And we got huge games coming up. A little bit of movement in the best 11 rankings, Mac. And Mac's got to get out of here early for good reason.
Got a birthday today.
Got a birthday, his son's birthday. So, we're a family program. We all support that.
17.
Yeah, 17. So
Drivers.
We're going to move along here and maybe mix some things up towards the end to make sure that Matt gets to talk a little bit about the big matchup that everybody wants to hear about. So stay tuned. We'll be back looking back at the rest of last week's action right after this. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Coaches Association. The West Jersey Football Coaches Association was established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 4 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Fody in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They are advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome back, South Jersey football fans, New Jersey football fans, the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show, joined by Coach Tim McEnany and Rod Self. Mark Trouble here. Glad you're joining us. We got a lot of action last week. We got a lot to get to, so let's kick it off right now. Thursday night, Mac, Paulsboro rolls by Collingswood 47-7. Malachi McKenzie throws for 2 touchdowns as the Raiders look a lot different than the team that struggled last season. They've been putting things together under Coach Kevin Harvey. Bridgeton 4-0, first start in a long time at 4-0 for the Bulldogs. They beat Deptford 20-12 last Thursday. Eric Hilton, 17 carries, 258, 3 touchdowns. Bridgeton has always had a lot of talented players, and they're putting it together. Congratulations to the Bulldogs. Speaking of the Bulldogs, Glassboro, 46-0 over Salem. Chris Foster, 145 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in the second half. Xavier Saab, 5 receptions, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he or his brother or both got Ohio State offers. I know you were happy about that, Rod. Not a bad week to be in the Saab family. Deshaun Day, receiving touchdown, pick 6. Glassboro rolls by Salem 46-0. ACIT beats Triton 14-7. Triton dedicated the pavilion at the field to their former coach, Jim Doyle. And look, man, ACIT spoiled the parade. They have 2 wins in their first varsity season. They're 2-1, I think. Anthony Gattano, 129 yards passing and a touchdown. He also ran for 67 and another touchdown, Mac.
Assistant coach Paul Sacco, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Something. They're doing a good job. He has a little secret sauce in his. He knows how to win some football games on the high school level, for sure.
Speaking of knowing how to win football games in a program you know well, Pensauken 27, Vineland 7, R.J. Blunt 37 carries, 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Giovanni Padilla, a big man touchdown. He recovered an end zone fumble for 6. I know he was pretty pleased, as the big men always are when they get their name in the proverbial box score.
Absolutely.
Paul to 6, 35, Pleasantville 0, Tyree Roan, a player we seem to mention every week, it seems like. For Paul to 6. 3 receptions, 2 of them were touchdowns. He also ran for 2 touchdowns. That closed out the play on Thursday night. Friday, Mac, we had a big one with Winslow and St. Augustine. Thought it would be tight. I don't know that I thought Winslow would come away with a 2-touchdown win, but they did. They remain unscathed to set up the big matchup this week. Jalen Parker, how's this for a line? 15 of 17 passing. Pretty efficient. 188 and 2 touchdowns. Marcus Upton, 4 receptions, 92 yards in his debut for the Eagles. He was at Timber Creek last year. Cam Miller and Nakeem Powell each with a receiving touchdown. 21-7, Mac. That defense for Winslow stood tall.
It did, and 2 things stand out. The defense obviously shutting down Augie's run game because I would think Augie wanted to control the football, play a little bit old school.
Yeah.
And 15 for 17 is just I don't know QBR for high school kids, but that's 15 for 17, 188, 2 TDs. I mean, I think if we prorated that on NFL QBR, we're in the 120 something. So that's a day. So, not controlling the football, right? Keeping it out of Augie's hands, keeping it in your hands, playing tough both sides of the ball, and well coached. and as we know, we'll talk later on. It sets up for something pretty special in the regular season.
Yeah, and that pretty special affair happens with the team we're going to touch on next. Millville beats Washington Township 36-7. Robbie O'Connor throws for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamal Wallace, 11 carries, 116 yards and a touchdown. And Latsier Brooks, 3 receptions, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. So 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. It seems like every time Mr. Brooks gets the ball, he's a threat to score. A big one for Atlantic City. They go down to Ocean City. It was a good matchup, local matchup, a type of game you really want to be at. Atlantic City takes a win, 21-14. Peaky Roseborough of AC playing quarterback about as well as anybody right now in South Jersey. He goes 9-13, 129 yards and a touchdown, 13 carries, 70 yards and a touchdown. An Ice Cup, Sinai DeGraffenreidt, rate, 4 receptions, 78 yards and a touchdown. AC putting things together.
I want to be part of AC just to give me a nickname. I mean, we got Peaky, we got Ice Cup. I mean,
that's a good call.
I mean, right? I mean,
They had Broadway Joe Lyons, or Boardwalk Joe Lyons.
Boardwalk Joe Lyons, right?
They know the nickname game. There's no doubt. Mainland is a game I don't think, you talk about results you didn't expect to really see. Cherokee goes down to Mainland. They lose 31-0 last week after losing to Prep. John Franchini. 8 for 13, 222 and 2 touchdowns. Jake Blum caught 2 touchdowns, 133 yards receiving. Chase Hogue, Rocco DiBiaso each ran for a touchdown. They bounced back from that loss to Millville, and Cherokee falls short of bouncing back against St. Augustine. Big win for the Mustangs.
Big time. I mean, I did not think it was. I didn't see this.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. I'm not in the coach's office locker room of the Chiefs. Are they? They're not taking anything away from Mainland, but are they a little banged up? I don't know. You know, because I wasn't thinking 31. That's a shellacking, and But in looking what happened the previous week with Mainland getting, beat the way they did, something tells me practice down at Mainland was a little bit down at Linwood was a little bit different. With knowing the Chucky Smith, Coach
Folsom, Coach Watson.
Coach Watts. Something tells me the 3 of them got together and maybe did some little bit of extra that week. So, and it paid off. So, they're playing for the long term. That's for sure.
A big win for them, not just to win this game, but when you look at power points, they're a Group 3 team. To beat a Group 5 team like that, that's going to help them out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They get another, they get a help this week as well. They're going to play St. Augustine. We'll talk about that game. Good to see how they responded. In terms of you lose that game against Millville, that's a game you're winning 7-6. You're driving down the field to start the second half. Brooks strips the ball, takes it in. The next thing you know, the game has gotten out of control for you.
Floodgates.
How do you bounce back? Because that's the first dent in your armor in over a year, right? But you're still riding that wave of we're going to find a way, and the door slams on you. You got to open it back up the next week. That's a heavy knob to turn, and they did it.
And it's hard. It's hard to lose that first. Not to say you're going to lose a game, but eventually you're probably going to lose a game. And a lot of those Mainland starters who played last year are gone. So how resilient that next leadership group's going to be. Sometimes, Rod, sometimes it's good to be like, as programs get better, sometimes kids come in playing better than you'd think they would play because they just know they're putting on a jersey and that makes them play even that much better.
Right.
Sometimes it happens in reverse, right? Just because you're wearing that certain color jersey doesn't mean you're that certain team that used to play.
And it's kind of hard to tell in the preseason how that's going to shape out.
Right.
I've been a part of some teams where you can kind of see the kids, they're just happy to have a uniform on.
Right.
They're thinking the uniform is going to make the plays.
Yeah, we went undefeated last year, right? And maybe I didn't see the field at all, but I'm going to be I'm going to fill in right where so and so left. Not happening.
It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Also, it speaks a lot to the leadership on the team. It speaks a lot to the whole program. I mean, in Group 3, and I heard somebody say this the other day, Mainland moving down to Group 3, Group 3 is not happy about that. Mm-hmm. Group 3 was happy to see Mainland up in Group 4.
Yes.
And, this is a team that really, really showed what it was worth against Cherokee, and they have another opportunity to prove that again this week. A team that's undefeated in Group 3, Burlington Township, 34-0. Coach Steve Everett has it going for the Falcons. Baron Davis, 10 for 14, 158 yards and 3 touchdowns at quarterback. Aiden Binns, 13 carries, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Quad Hendricks, 3 catches, 63 yards, touchdown. The Falcons, 4-0. Burlington City beats Riverside, 34-22. Dante Davis runs for 144 and 2 touchdowns. Cherry Hill East, 4-0. I know somewhere Mark Miller is smiling, Mac. 35-6, they beat EHT. Denzel Lee, 20 carries, 197 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Coach Tyler Drobb, I saw him at the Captain's Night Banquet, the Touchdown Club with Southern New Jersey on Monday. He said, man, the whole thing just feels different. The culture, the feeling in the building, having your first night game. Guys showing up, ready to play, wanting to win. Everybody catching the fever. The beauty of getting the ball rolling, and Cherry Hill East has done that for the first time in a while to have that type of momentum.
Right,
and that was a once great program.
Oh my God,
great program.
Kids are probably rolling their eyes, but in the '80s they were one of the tops, and getting
in the state.
Yes, and you got to get kids, we talked last week, chicken and the egg, right? You got to get the buy on. Kids got to come in. You got to get kids out of the hallway. But by the way, Mark Miller's smiling anywhere, all the time.
We hope you're watching, Mark. Seneca beats Haddonfield 14-7. Anthony Tirico 12-18, 125 yards, 2 rush touchdowns for the Golden Eagles, who've now won 3 in a row since the opening season.
Right, you got young Coach Diorio, right?
Yeah.
Young Anthony Diorio, right? Shawnee grad, great football player in his own right, comes in, D coordinator last year for Fish. Yeah. Fish steps down. Most of the staff is intact, but new guy, right? Yeah. It's his show now, and and taking care of business versus a very, as we know, every year in and year out, Delano doing a great job at Haddonfield. So big win for Seneca, like you said, rolling off 3 in a row, huge.
I want to give a shout out here to senior Mekhi Brown of Highland. Highland wins 36-6 against Clearview. Brown goes 20 carries, 313 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's a school record for rushing touchdowns in a game. Congratulations, Mekhi. Excellent game. Senior. Look, Highland hasn't had a whole lot to brag about so far this year, but this is something that they should definitely put a feather in their cap. They get Coach Sean Daniels' first win, 36-6, 313 yards back, 6 touchdowns. I mean, I would have thought Johnny had the record as many touchdowns as he scored for Highland, but 6 in a game is pretty good.
Highland's had some really good running backs over the last couple of years,
yes.
And even in their history. So that 6 is a lot.
That's not bad.
6 number, and then quick math. I don't know what 15 point something yards per carry. Something.
You're not an underwriter. I know that. Cumberland 28.
Well, I don't care. I'm not giving you the point. I'm not doing the
remainder. Get out the abacus.
I'm not doing the remainder.
Yeah, exactly. Don't factor in the remainder. Kids, I hope you're not watching, doing your homework. Cumberland 28, St. Joe Hamilton 7, R.J. Pierce 22 carries, 197 yards, and 4 touchdowns for the Colts. Pennsville 46, Audubon 0, Ryland Hardy 148 yards, 12 carries, 2 touchdowns. Another one that's somewhere around 12 yards per carry, a little bit more than that. Delsea has not won yet this year. It's not something anybody would have expected. As Kingsway beat them 14-12. So here, Painter with a rush touchdown, Cole DeNick with a receiving touchdown as the Dragons get by the Crusaders.
Yeah, 0-4, right, Delsea? Yeah. Not. Have they ever?
I don't know.
Because we're all talking about these teams that are down 4-0, but man, wow.
Kevin Emmons, the host of last week, is in the chat. He will find out the answer. I know will pop up. He's always dropping knowledge in our chat here.
I was going to say, Kevin, be careful. The last time I guest appeared on the show was 7, 8 years ago. No, 2000.
Right. Then
2018. 6 years ago.
He became part of the show.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He might be annexed.
I'm the permanent guest.
You're a guest every
analyst.
week. Camden Catholic 38, West Deptford 20. I believe we have some video here. We got video of Bryce Rozier. Is that from Bryce Rozier? Is that correct?
Yes.
Thanks, Bryce, for sending this in. We do have a nod of the week, but first we're going to take a look at this run here. I believe this is Nymir Daly. He had 17 carries, 142 yards, and 4 touchdowns as the Irish win this thing 38-20. Reversing field, taking it back against the grain again. Little Bob Seger. He's running against the wind there.
What do we got? A little knot plus? Is this a knot plus
This
tape?
is a little bit of a highlight. We
All
love
right.
this. Thanks again, Bryce. And then here you go. Here's your knot of the week right here. One of them. Bryce Clark, pick 6 to the house. Jumps that thing and goes. The Irish.
Is it Rozier?
Win big.
Is it Bryce Rozier?
Bryce Clark.
Bryce Clark.
Bryce Clark.
Bryce Rozier submitted the video.
Oh, 2 Bryces. Thank you. Both. Good job.
We don't have video of this pick 6, but we do have another knot. Zaire Green of Timber Creek as they win 23-13 over Williamstown. Amir Reason Dallas runs for touchdown. So did Tyrone Baker. Woodstown beats Woodbury 28-16. Bryce Belafonte has been stacking the stat sheet since he laced them up for the Wolverines a few years ago. 27 carries, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown. Tim Holmes in a losing effort for Woodbury. Great game, 16-29, 272, 2 touchdowns. Shalleck beats Pensgrove 21-2. Their first win over Pensgrove since 2006. It snaps a 14-game losing streak to the Red Devils. Kenai Simmons throws for touchdown, runs for 1. Reggie Allen, 9 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Some other quick scores from Friday night. Oakcrest 40, Middle Township 7, Overbrook 26, Florence 7, Wildwood 28, Lindenwold 18, Pittman 14, Haddon Township 7, Gateway 22, Sterling 7, Eastern 30, Cherry Hill West 0, Cinnaminson 31, Haddon Heights 0, Holy Cross 26, they're also 4-0, Una 0, Absegami 26, Lower Cape May 20. Also had some good games on Saturday, Mac. Willingboro beats Gloucester 21-10. Terrence Knighton, 5 receptions, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Daryl Coleman with a knot, a pick 6 for Borough. Trevin Burkhart in a losing effort, 6 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown for the Lions. Another big win for Willingboro. They got another shot at another big one. Keep saying another. Hey, it has been. They've been stacking it up here. Cedar Creek 46, Hamilton 7, Riley Hoffacker 8 of 16, 225, 5 touchdowns. I mean, you talk about averages, Mac. 8 completions for 225.
What do you want to do? Am I doing the quick math?
It's a lot.
28-ish?
That's a lot. Amir Dunbar.
I know it's not 30.
Right. Amir Dunbar carries 15 times, 131 yards and a touchdown. And Frenchman Bethea, he was the quarterback. Hoffacker is now eligible after a transfer. So Bethea, he says, well, I'll just go to receiver. 3 catches, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's a guy who finds success wherever he goes on the roster, Frenchman Bethea. Lenape beats Eastside 29-7. Congratulations, Coach Matt Kreider, on your first win of the Tribe. I'm sure you'll be the best coach Lenape's ever had. Derek Hammond, 30 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. I can say that, right?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what my first Lenape win was?
What was it?
I believe it was at Winslow.
Really?
That's crazy to think that,
Yeah.
right? At Winslow. I believe. Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, me either.
What was your first win at Bishop Eustace?
First game of the year, Paul VI, at home. Then didn't win another game the rest of the year. 1-9.
Well, that's not the case this year. Eustace 4-0.
I know. They're on a roll.
They beat Mastery Charter 42-6 on Saturday.
He's bringing up bad stuff. We lost 50-0 week 2 against Willingboro. My first year at Eustace. I still remember. Ty's like, Coach Belford, like, it's okay, Timmy.
I always wondered why they liked you so much in Willingboro. Tommy Drumgool had a pick 6 for Eustace and Mackay Simmons, 2 rushing touchdowns. RV and Shawnee, Mac, I know you were there, but first I want to get to the action that happened because we do have a Knot of the Week candidate here as well. Savian Adams had 7 of 14, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. 12 carries, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, I think Adams pretty much did a lot of the heavy lifting. But Brody Dieter caught a touchdown. Montre Wilson caught one and ran for 1. They had 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. One of them was this. Eddie Yarngo has a Knot of the Week. 80-yard pick 6 to make it 35-21. We're on the far side of the field here. But Eddie Yarngo, he knows where that ball is going. He snatches it.
And at the time when he did this, the score was 28-21. So the game was
this put it away.
This put it away. This made it 35-21 with 3 minutes left. And a late touchdown. What happened was RV got out to a 21-0 lead. And Shawnee chips back and he back and it gets to 28 21. And at that point, the freshman, Cole Anderson, he's getting chunks. A lot of QB stuff.
31 carries, 210 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the freshman Cole Anderson.
He had a ton of yardage. They became a little bit one-dimensional in the second half, but it was working, right?
Yeah,
You got a quarterback who's running the football. Their starter, Lucas Solomon, got hurt the previous week at the Camden High game.
Yep.
So, anytime you lose a quarterback, and they do a lot of different things at Shawnee, Coach Scuderi on offense. So when you put in a freshman, and the playbook gets a little tighter, right? I mean, you got to do some things. RV jumped out, but Shawnee battled back and actually was driving at that point when the pick six happened. I mean, it was a 28-21 game.
Threw a pick at the 20. That wasn't that far of a pass. What were they? 35, 34.
Right. He was throwing a hitch to the sideline, and the pick went the other way, went 30, 70 yards. I mean, so at the time the pick six was made, and then there was a bad snap at the end, and RV made it the 41-21 finish. So.
Well, I'll say this. First thing, it's not often you leave RV as a loser, right? I mean, you said before the show you had a pretty good record against the Red Devils. But
Lenape did. I did.
Right,
Lenape
right.
did.
But the second thing is...
You asked, by the way.
I did ask.
You did. You asked.
RV is showing now. They have a big game this week, another one we're going to delve into here in a bit. But RV is showing they have the capability to be a serious player in South Group 5. I mean... They scored 41 points. By all accounts, they're up big. Then they kind of, play with their food a little bit. They still end up beating Shawnee by 20 points at home. What were your impressions of RV in terms
penalties,
of how they looked?
Both teams have bit by the penalty bug. Mm-hmm. I mean, RV, they did this when I was coaching. They always throw that Saturday game in for some reason. I don't know whether it's a homecoming or like a play day for the school, which is, look, it's great for the school. We did it sometimes at Lenape. I hated it because you're getting out of your rhythm, right? Like if you're a Friday night team, you're a Friday night team. Yeah. But sometimes you do things for the betterment, like, hey, we're gonna have a field hockey game in the morning, we're gonna have a soccer game go on. So it's for the school, it's great. So you do it, but it's out of your rhythm Saturday afternoon.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Mac, because in all of our commercial breaks, we talk about the need for officials. I'm not saying this is why RV played on Saturday, but I will say this. When we see these games Thursday or teams that don't traditionally play on Saturday, you know why a lot of times they're doing it? To make sure they get quality officials because we don't have enough officials. So listen to that ad in the break. Help out, jump in, make some money, be a part of the action. If you know the sport.
See what he's doing here, Rod? See what he's doing here?
I'm weaving it in, man. We need more officials.
It's like an in-game ad that's popping up.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you're a good official and you're willing to
you'll
learn,
rise quick.
You'll rise quick. You'll be at these big games. I mean, but they need people to sign up and learn. And we know the people watching this show know football.
You know who I saw in a set of stripes last week?
Who's that?
Former Lenape head coach Joe was a Husky.
Really?
He is put on the stripes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good.
So. Obviously with a bunch of babies at home now, and it's something you can do.
Wojciechowski, right?
Wojciechowski.
Woj.
Yeah, Joe Woj. But I had to say his whole name. I can't. But but I know he's known as Woj in the South Jersey circles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Woj is reffing.
Good. And more former coaches should.
Yeah. It's not as much time, and we need you, and you know the rules.
Yeah.
And you can deal with the nitwits on the sidelines because you guys used to be a little bit nitty.
Yeah. You know where they're coming from. Pemberton 41, Maple Shade 21, Kip Academy 14, Palmyra 8. And the last game of the week was Monday. Unfortunately, Clayton had to move their game to Monday. They beat Gloucester Catholic by a score of 38-7. Demetrius Williams had a great season for Clayton, and it continued. See if I have the line here.
But I also want to
read it. 165 yards rushing on 12 attempts for 2 touchdowns.
He asked me a question. I just got to finish it to give the due props to RV.
Please do.
RV's got talent. They got some dudes, and their quarterback can make some plays.
Yeah.
And you know what? They keep it simple when they have to. They're like, they're running spread like everybody else. Rod, it's a little bit like that Ohio State spread that Urban Meyer used to run, right? Like, they're running spread. No, they're not. They're pulling guards. They're leading out bodies.
Right.
As we used to say, as Coach Hendricks used to say, and he still does down at Kingsway, I'm sure, the elephant's on parade.
Yeah.
When you can get double guards out there and you can get bodies out on the flank, with an H back of some sort,
Yep.
and a ball carrier, you know, that's Urban Meyer Ohio State stuff.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you in a game like that too, Coach Lucas is probably he doesn't hate the way that game played out because he can come bring these guys in the meeting on Monday and say, guys, look at what the final score was, and you didn't play well for X amount of time. They put the pieces together. You guys get it together here. We can be dangerous.
Arby's a tough team. Arby's a tough team. It'll be interesting as I'm reading ahead, but I don't want to step on it. But I know who they play this week.
We have a question from my guy Coase here in the chat. He wants to know when you beat Winslow in your first game at Lenape.
Yes.
Or for your first win at Lenape, were they Winslow or Edgewood?
They were Winslow.
Okay.
They were Winslow. I did lose to them when they were Edgewood, when Coach Sellers came in and brought the 4x4. We actually, Rod, we changed our defense for that week. Well, we always had it kind of in, but we played more 4-4 than a 3 front. Because I was like, they just jet sweep you to death, you know, and then bang up the middle, jet, bang, and you had to have flanks. We had to have people just out there. You know, I wasn't gonna chance coming inside out and making sure my corner, you know, and contain it and funnel it. I wanted a dude there. Now, didn't, you know.
Sometimes it's like that.
The only thing they didn't have was the baton.
Sometimes it's like that. Right. Listen, there's nothing we can do right now.
Right? And Coach Sellers, people, you know, he's big.
Another former guest of the program.
Yes, guest, and he's the big man on campus up at the state.
Yeah, and you know what, Mac? It is always great to hear those stories you remember as coach. And we talked about this before. We're going to get to it in our next segment when we run through these games to look for this weekend. We're going to talk about the games or the game. You're going to isolate the one you remember as being one of the games of the year in the regular season, circled on the calendar, collision course. That's what we're headed for. Everybody knows it. Group 4. Millville and Winslow, Friday night, 6 p.m. at Millville. The popcorn's going to be ready, but we're going to get your take on that. We're going to take a look at all the games that we have coming up this weekend, the big ones especially. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with the South Jersey Football Frenzy. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Coaches Association. The West Jersey Football Coaches Association was established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 4 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Foti in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up the Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They are advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org, and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show here with Coach Tim McEnany and Rod Self at Studio B. Everything's perfect. Everything's in place. A little chill in the air out there. Feels like football weather, and that means we got some games that really matter.
I don't know if it's chilly. It's a little wet.
Well, it's,
Gray.
it's a little chilly.
Gray.
A little gray compared to what it has been.
Yeah.
It feels like football.
It wasn't 100.
Right. And that's a plus.
Which was in Bloomington this past weekend. By the way, Hoosiers 4-0. First time in history. School history. You wouldn't think, right?
I would think that, actually.
Nah. I mean, they're not a football power, but,
Antoine Randall.
Lee Corso running the Hoosiers back in the day.
Yeah, he made a better living on TV than he did on the sideline.
You think?
I think it's time for him to hang it up on.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
They're just willing him out there at this point.
I feel bad for that guy. I do. I really do.
That's Herbie's boy. That's why he's, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, we got 2 games on the slate Thursday. If you're a junkie, you need to get out and see some football on Thursday. Here's where you go. 5:30, you have Holy Cross at Riverside. We mentioned Holy Cross hasn't lost.
4-0.
7 p.m., Clearview at Vineland. Both of those are on Thursday. 5:30, Holy Cross at Riverside. 7 p.m., Clearview at Vineland.
That's tomorrow night.
Correct. Friday, and some people listening on the podcast, the game will already be over by the time you listen, but that's okay. Okay.
Thursday.
That was Thursday. Friday night, Max, 6 p.m. We'll go right down the line here. Delran at Burlington Township. Both of these teams are unbeaten. They're not far apart. You look at Burlington Township's schedule after this, I think it's favorable. This is a big one for them. Coach Everett, new place, same results. He's had it going this year. And then Delran is a team that, I even forgot to mention them on the show a couple weeks ago, much to my embarrassment. But here they are. And also, I love the helmets, Coach. Also, I like the white with the bears and the number on the other side.
Sure.
Delran, Burlington Township. What can you expect from this, Matt?
I don't want to say fist fight, but when you get these Burlington County schools, they're battles. Township, both being undefeated makes it even that much better. But no love lost. A little bit of clash of styles usually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not ground and pound, so to speak, but a little more. A little more or less trying to control the football at the Delran side of it. And traditionally, Township has some breakaways. We're in for another good night. And Coach Everett's done a great job. First year there, too.
Sometimes this isn't true in high school. I know a lot of times it's true at every level, but the most physical team will win that game.
Correct.
That's the bottom line of that game.
I disagree. I think usually the most physical team in high school wins, too.
A lot of times.
I think not all the time.
Not all the time, but in this game, I guarantee it.
Yeah. I mean, even like we all get sucked in by the sexiness of sports, of high school football.
Yeah.
But that violence up front, the toughness up front allows that stuff on the perimeter to take place.
It's a little bit like watching Saquon Barkley run however many yards for a touchdown. And, yeah, he's really fast, but watching them wall off the inside of the line and watching the C's part. Like
when you're a line that you can get, if you get the guy 5 yards, he's going to get 55 yards, and nobody wants to tackle that dude. Like they don't practice that stuff.
Well, what
anymore.
it is, we have the Eagles. Let's just say it, right? The last 2 running backs we've had, they weren't Saquon Barkley.
No.
Well,
I mean, the line is really getting a push, and he's getting a crease. And I think he even had to adjust because he was getting right up on, the second and third level so quick he wasn't used to it. That's why I think he ran into the back of A.J. Brown.
In the first game, the same exact play happened.
Right.
And he ran into the defender.
Yep.
This one, he just veered off to the right.
He's with the Giants for 5-6 years. It never happened.
Right.
Now, I mean, does he remind you of is it aggressive to say the Bo Jackson world? Like
his body type does remind me of that.
That might be too much, but still, he is.
The last 2 backs they had, one of them never saw a hole if you put it right in front of him. And the other one saw him, but also was not the strongest guy. It's hard to run inside for 17 games. And this guy knows I can get through in there. And if somebody hits me, I squat 8,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So you know what? I might just be able to endure it, and I might break that tackle and go.
Right.
But I'm not really afraid of it, and hopefully he can stay healthy. We got to get you on track here, Mac, because
We're on track.
You're the guy who has to roll. Cherokee at Atlantic City, 6 p.m. on Friday night. The Chiefs really need to get right after 2 losses to St. Augustine. They lost by 2 scores. Then last week, losing 31-0 to Mainland. Atlantic City feels great right now. They're putting things together. They beat Ocean City. This should be a good test. This is a Group 5 game, Mac. And you know what? Atlantic City, I know they're going to be hyped up for this one. But Cherokee, you're playing 6 p.m. at Atlantic City. I know how much you love the early starts in the Cal.
Now everybody
from Marlton.
Now everybody does it.
To come from Marlton.
Yeah, they got to leave on Thursday.
You come back down here. You got to be ready to go.
Right.
It's a big game.
We can they're not even night games anymore. But go ahead. We're getting closer. Halftime will be dark. It'll be dark at half.
It's a big game for both teams, and I think for different reasons. One, Cherokee needs a win. Atlantic City's looking for the stamp of we're here.
Cherokee has to get right. Atlantic City has to say we're for real.
They have to sustain.
You're correct.
The success has been there for Atlantic City past couple years, but that
Rod, it's the get right versus the are we real. That's usually that goes for a nice. We'll see.
Well, it's a good test. It's a really good
very
test.
Very entertaining game.
Yep.
Mainland at St. Augustine, 6 p.m. Going to be a lot of rush attempts in this one, Mac. St. Augustine doesn't feel too great about the loss they took at Winslow, and the vice versa. Mainland now is feeling a lot better than they were a couple weeks ago after they lost to Millville with that big win against Cherokee. I saw Coach Lancetta on Monday night at the captain's banquet. He said, "Is Clyde here?" I said, "No, Clyde's game planning for you.
Clyde's on the film.
He's in a room right now looking at your film."
Coach Lancetta, Clyde doesn't have to go to those things anymore.
Yeah.
So he's figuring out how to stop the hermits.
Actually, everybody should go to the. But you're right.
The coaches go. The head coaches go.
Yeah.
And an occasional assistant coach.
But Mac, these guys know they don't need.
I know. They don't need any game planning and trying to figure out what each guy's going to do because,
Well, they know each other so well, and we've seen this a lot with some of these guys who've been around forever and are friendly.
Staff mates.
They don't just know what you're going to do X's and O's. They know what you're thinking up top, exactly the way that you're going to function. So it's always fun to see them match.
Head coach in D.C. of the 1986 state champion Bishop Eustace Crusaders.
Right.
Coach Lancetta, Coach Folsom. 7-0 win over St. Joe Hamilton back in December 7th.
Also at 6 p.m., Cedar Creek at Holy Spirit. We touched on Holy Spirit, what they've been able to do. We mentioned Riley Hoffacker, quarterback for Cedar Creek. He came in and had a great performance in his first game, which is a big win over Hamilton. Both teams, again, feeling a lot better than maybe they were for Holy Spirit after that first game, a 35-0 loss to Millville. And Cedar Creek, a 42-0 loss to Atlantic City not too long ago. They're getting it back, and there's going to be a lot of familiarity. All these kids know each other at Cedar Creek, Holy Spirit, Oakcrest, Absegami, Pleasantville. They are all very familiar, so always makes for a good matchup. 6 p.m. at Holy Spirit. Woodbury at Glassboro. Glassboro is rolling. Woodbury is going to want to get that taste out of their mouth. They lost to Woodstown. The game was close. Woodstown pulled away late. Woodbury always is game for a Group 1 clash.
Sure.
And Glassboro is the team that everybody knows they have to beat.
A lot of pride at Woodbury, but Glassboro just got a lot of dudes.
Yeah. Rancocas Valley at Camden, 6 p.m. We talked about how RV looks the part. Camden, of course, always looks the part. Makai Brunson, I love what I saw from him. I love what I saw from Azir Lee on the outside. Had a big pick in that game against Holy Spirit. And even though Camden lost the game and they didn't start out great, it was encouraging to see them hang around and fight through it, put themselves in a position to possibly win the game. They had a turnover late that kind of doomed them. But, they didn't bow at all. They came out and they fought. That should be a really good game.
Yeah, well, and Coach Hinson is they weren't going to they're down. So what? They're going to play till the end. you wonder if RV sees a blueprint and says, because they're watching film, they're watching film from the week before, going, hey, did we see a little chink in the armor of the Panthers in the day gaps? And I'm sure Coach Hinson and crew is, they're watching the same film too, saying we gotta fix some stuff up, because if you look at the big boys in the upper levels, it's center guard. It's center. That used to be, everybody talks about the left tackle, but if you don't solidify your A gap, party's over. The quickest way to get to the quarterback is the A gap.
Well, and
point A to point B.
When you say you wonder if RV is going to follow well, let me tell you, if you can't protect there, everybody's going to follow it until you prove you can do it. I mean, it's not like RV's going to say, no, they'll be expecting that. Yeah, they'll be prepared for it, which I'm saying Camden will be, but still, you've got to at least test the waters and say, is it okay to swim here like it was last week? Because everybody's doing cannonballs.
Schematically, you better be in a good way, because you can do some things up front. If you get a gap scheme blocked properly, you could be off to the races. So, just there's some calls I know that you can take care of some of that stuff.
All right. 3 other games at 7 p.m. These games are 7 p.m. Friday night. Willingboro and Paul VI. Be a very good matchup between 2 very good teams. Delsey, Timber Creek. We talked about Delsey winless. Not something we're used to saying at this time of year. Timber Creek bounced back from their Kingsway loss with a win over Williamstown. Their next 4 are not easy. Willingboro, Camden, Cedar Creek, Washington Township. So the Chargers and Coach Brian Wright, congratulations, named Eagles Coach of the Week. They're going to want to have this one in the pocket, and Delsey's desperate for that first win. Seneca, Gloucester, another interesting game. Gloucester, 2-game skid. Seneca's won 3 in a row. Seneca's defense has really showed up. They've only given up single digits in those 3 wins.
Defense travels, as they say.
Max, since you got to get out of here, let's talk about the game, man. What game do you remember being a part of as a coach where it was the game of the season? Everybody knew it. In the regular season.
In the regular season. Well, I mean, we off camera, you were asking me about the RV games, right? And they were huge. But I will tell you, 2014, we're undefeated. Cherokee's undefeated. I think at Lenape, we had to win. We had to win that game to basically establish ourselves as somebody who's going to, because the conferences had shifted around a little bit. We weren't playing a monster schedule as of yet. But we still were playing Shawnee, the likes of Shawnee, Cherokee, and the big boys in RV and et cetera. We had to win. I think we were 5-0, and we had to win that game. And it was I didn't know the last time that Lenape had beaten Cherokee. And it was one. I think it was one of the. It was a Comcast game of the week. It was a Lenape TV type deal, and just the whole atmosphere and everything about it felt like you can just the tension's palpable, as they say, right? You feel it when you walk out for warm-ups going on, and both staffs respect each other, loved each other, and as these guys do too. They respect what these guys are doing, and they'll be they'll be talking before the game, that nervous energy, but they're so much fun to be a part of, and we ended up pulling it out. They had a late turnover at the end of the game. We were leading, and we ended up winning 24-16. It's funny. We had a pick 6 at the end by Ben Hunt, and there was a penalty. We had a block in the back, and they declined the penalty because if they took the penalty, we could have just taken a bunch of knees. So, if they enforced the penalty, we would have had the ball instead of scoring a touchdown. Coach Megan brilliantly gives us a touchdown because then we have to kick off, and we're only up 8.
Yeah.
So he still has a shot to win the game. Evan Powell, quarterback, played offense, defense, linebacker, quarterback. Jimmy Kennedy was our quarterback. It was our run of, we went on a 9, we were 9-1 that year, and it was a game. I wouldn't say our program had to win, but if we wanted to show South Jersey that we were for real, we had to win it. And it was at home. As I said, winning at Cherokee is a whole different game. But you talk about a regular season game that really had that playoff atmosphere. They're undefeated. We're undefeated. They go on and win Group 5 championship that year.
Yeah.
So I look back and with the RV days, it was the not the RV days. You were saying in the beginning, like, hey, playing against RV. I'm like, no, That first Cherokee win in 14, that was a huge game for us.
The parallel that I see with the Lenape RV game is this. Feels like when you played them and lost 10-7 at home on the missed field goal that would have sent to overtime, and you learned your lesson, moved to the other hash in the championship game that you won 10-7 against Lenape, so you are a learner. We know that. But that game when you played, now I know Millville was right there as well that year in that group and lost on the fake extra point after they punted to Clement in the semifinals. But that game had a feeling of inevitability of we'll see these two again. It's very likely we'll see them against each other. That is the parallel that I think of now as when you look across Group 4, and there's no disrespect to anybody else, but the top two teams in South Jersey are in Group 4. And only one team from South Jersey can make the state championship in Group 4. So it feels like this could be chapter 1 of 2.
Right.
Possibly, right? And let's see what it's all about.
Right. If it chalks out, one of these will be in the South, one of these will be in the Central, and they'll be, if the chalk wins, they'll be favored to win their sections to play in the South Jersey semifinal. But back to playing a team that you probably was inevitable that you're going to play against. Again, when you're playing them, we had those games with RV, we played them every year. We played 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're just playing them every year, and every year is a lesson, is a 3 to 5 point game. I mean, those things are just like, you just know it's going to be a heavyweight fight. So, and look, the way it's I'm not saying it's you have to win. You don't have. I mean, you want to win, obviously,
right?
And but the feel of the playoff buzz is what's kind of the extra special thing about it, because they know South Jersey knows they're the top 2 teams.
Well, let me tell you something. Deptford and Woodbury had 2,500 people at a 14U game on Saturday. Okay,
it's a heck of a 14U game.
Let me tell you, if that many people turned out for a 14U game, Rod,
yep.
I don't care who's playing 14U. Hats off to all of you. But for Millville and Winslow, the numbers are going to keep going up. It's going to be the place to be for a lot of people.
And the new field, right? I mean, they get this beautiful.
And guess what? Millville, and no offense to Millville's not on the way to anywhere.
Yeah.
So the people who go there are there because they love South Jersey football.
Yeah, Millville's on the way to nowhere.
Right. Exactly. So you got to put it at the end of your trip, not you're going somewhere else after.
It's not even like, hey, we'll go to Millville on the way down to the once you're at Millville, you're still like, well, we're still an hour from the water.
You're going.
Maybe an hour and 15. But you know what?
It's extremely dark down those back roads or 55. Whichever way you go, it's dark.
But it's worth it. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. It'll be good. Smash mouth.
And you have a long ride home where you can talk about the whole game and everything that happened, digested. That's always fun too. Daryl Wood is right. Lenape and Williamstown, 2019 regular season.
Oh, yes.
Rematch in the playoffs also.
The one that comes to my mind is Delsey. Timber Creek Delsey.
Yep.
They, for a couple years, they just kept, slugging it out.
And Eastside Delsey, too, for a couple years.
Yes, Eastside Delsey, too.
Shawnee would see Hamilton a bunch. They'd see him in the regular season. They'd see him in the playoffs. I mean, I wasn't coaching the Lenape Williamstown, but those games were fistfights back, those 18, 19, and 20s.
Canfield West Deptford.
Oh, yeah.
Group 2?
That's like an easy one. I'm not an easy game. That's an easy one that everybody knows that they're going to play. They were playing each other twice a year for a long time.
And not so distant. Group 1, when Penns Grove, Willingboro, a couple years, they kept slugging it out.
Yep. Penns Grove, Willingboro, Penns Grove, Salem. Woodbury, Salem.
Yeah.
Woodstown, Woodbury just had it last week. So these familiar teams, but Millville and Winslow a couple years ago played at Rutgers, and Millville won that game in the regional championship. And I think everybody's been waiting to see them play again. They didn't play last year, as mainly and took them both down back-to-back weeks. So this has been a highly anticipated matchup for a while.
It's going to. What do you think? High or low? What do you think? Points? Well, think it's going to be one of those 35-28 jobs?
I don't know right now. What I will say is this is probably um, one of the games where athlete for athlete kind of matches up a
Yeah.
little better. I think the game is going to be won in those trenches. Like that's where it's going to come down to. I don't know if we're going to see a bunch of explosive plays.
See, here's the thing, though. Uh, Normally, I agree. I would agree with that maybe the canceling out of that. But I think Brooks is on a different, he's just not fast, right? He's just not, he's different.
Yeah, yeah,
He's going to have at least one big play.
yeah. I
You would
think he's
Because, I mean, I'm just saying his ball skills are superior.
yes.
The way he makes people miss.
Mhm.
I mean, not only his pure speed, but his, like how like when he matrix people, when he
Yeah.
disappears. Like that's just different.
I think it's going to be like a boxing match, Rod,
Mhm.
where when you get two teams like that with the speed that they have across,
Right.
and I'm not thinking about speed in terms of who can run the fastest 9 route. I'm talking about lateral speed.
Mhm.
Yeah, to the ball.
And guys, hats to the ball that are going to be there no matter who's blocking them, whatever. There's going to be guys rallying. I think in that sense, it's going to be a lot of nip and tuck early on, not a lot of points.
Hey, Rod,
early
a little
on.
early, little trickeration early, possibly
Yeah.
because guys will be flying. And not to bore you here, kicking game and turnovers will be the last thing I say before I go celebrate my son's 17th birthday. Kicking game and turnovers.
Yeah.
Because now short field usually doesn't bother either of these teams. I mean, we're meaning like it doesn't. Long fields don't bother them on offense. They don't mind going 80 because they can. One pass can go 80, but how much the defense is on the field. The sudden change plays.
Well, here's the other thing. Stay in front of the chains. 3rd and 15 for these teams against the teams they usually play. I'm not saying anything negative about those teams, but when you look at the receiving cores,
Yeah.
3rd and 15 against those teams are maybe jump ball plays, right?
50-50s.
Right. Still potential, right?
Sure.
Like I'm talking NFL 3rd and 15. You can get it.
Yeah.
Dallas Goddard.
But yeah, Dallas got exactly right. But this is not a 3rd and 15, throw it up and see what happens game, because it could end up in your end zone. Because the guys that are playing defense are good enough to snag it and take it the other way. So stay in front of the chains, dictate your opportunities in terms of down and distance. That's key. Get yards on first down, right, Matt?
That you got to win first down as always when these close games, and then it goes back to what we said a little bit ago. A lot of perimeter speed, a lot of this, a lot of that. You say toughness doesn't. What's going to happen up front, defensive side? Millville's D, Winslow's D.
I think both teams have the athletes to make the plays.
Yeah.
But getting pressure on a quarterback, that's going to be kind of the key. Getting the quarterback off his spot and out of rhythm. First year quarterback for Millville, and then you have a young quarterback for Winslow. The athletes,
Yeah. Offer, Blakowitz, Hatfield, guys, we don't single out here a lot, right? Yeah. But 3 of the best linemen in South Jersey that are going to play a huge role in this game.
Right.
Because, they're the ones that are sealing. They're doing what Mailata did, right? And allowing Saquon to spring.
My last thing I'll say about that is, the reason why I say that is it's going to be up front because whoever can establish the run game is going to help the pass game.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those weeks where both teams are coming in. They're both high powered. They have skills on the outside. But, you look at Winslow, they have guys that are committed to Boston College to play defense. They have guys, committed to Wisconsin. So you may be able to do some things to cancel out those big shots. Yeah. Where you have to, the interior and those linebackers, they're going to have to play big. Because that's where it's going to be, to me.
You're right.
Tougher team? What do you think? We can't give a number, but I think it's 28, I say it's under 50, right? You're saying?
Yeah, I go under 50.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would say, unless things really break bad from one team and the snowball rolls.
Yeah. 28-20.
Good score.
Yeah.
Good score.
Don't feel.
All right.
28-20. Okay.
I'll say 23.
Right.
15.
Bama.
Yeah,
I mean,
listen.
look,
I'm a fan, but
I don't mean to be fanboy, but Bama.
All right, Mac, you got to go. We'll be right back. We're going to look at the best 11 rankings after this. Some final parting shots without Coach Mac. Say goodbye, Coach.
Yeah, see you. Go Phils.
That's
hey,
right.
I think they're about to get the bye.
Division champs.
Division champs last
for
night.
the bye.
Get the bye. Well, 2 nights ago.
We'll be back right after this, the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Coaches Association. The West Jersey Football Coaches Association was established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 4 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Foti in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They are advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome. No Mac. Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show here for the final segment. I do want to correct myself. Thank you, Coach, for letting me know this. Timber Creek Delsey's at 6 p.m. on Friday night. Wood is the game streaming. I think Quinn Broadcasting probably has it, I would think, at Millville. I think they do it on Facebook. I'm not exactly sure.
Quinn Broadcasting, I definitely do. I'm sorry, I put Coach Mac chair up there.
The ghost of Coach Mac.
Quinn usually has the game.
Right. I think they have it. We'll have to find out. But I mean, now that Mac's gone, I guess we can talk bad about him since that's what he did to me last week. That's okay. I see how it is. Coach Dennis Thomas in the chat here. DT, I know who you're picking on Friday night. Best of luck with everything at the Q's. I know you're doing your thing up there, as many of South Jersey's finest players are. A lot of guys up there doing a lot of good. Let's go through these best 11 rankings real quick, Rod. Not a lot of movement in the bottom, a little bit of movement at the top. At number 11, we have Atlantic City. They beat Ocean City last week, 21-14. We talked about Peaky Roseboro. He has really sprung on in the scene as one of South Jersey's best quarterbacks. Dangerous with the legs, dangerous with the pass. You know about Ice Cup. Atlantic City has a big opportunity this week against Cherokee. At number 10, we have Willingboro. Coach Kenny Scott just keeping things rolling for the Borough. They got the red buckets this year with the blue W on them. I like the way they look, but I know some are traditionalists, want to go back to the Navy, and we'll see what happens. Willingboro, number 10. Glassboro, number 9. They've been rolling. They have a matchup with Woodbury this weekend that'll be interesting. As we said, the Sabs were contacted by Ohio State, man. Those guys are top of the line. That family has some serious, serious football genes in there, some talented players. So Glassboro at number 9. At 8, we have Cherokee. Look, 2 weeks in a row, they've had bad losses. I still think they're better than what they showed last week against Mainland. They weren't that far away from prep when they played them a couple weeks ago. But them playing number 11, Atlantic City, is going to teach us a lot about both of those teams this weekend. At number 7, I have Camden High. They have a chance to get right back on the horse against RV, and RV has a chance against them to get in here. But Camden High lost Holy Spirit last week in a game that I think got a little bit out of hand for them early. They fought back. Makai Brunson worth the price of admission to see him do his thing. So Camden High at number 7. Number 6, Washington Township, a team that, you start looking down these rankings, you're seeing teams that lost to Winslow and Millville, and Mainland, and there's no secret to that. Washington Township lost to Millville last week. They'll play Williamstown this week, and what used to be I think it was a Thanksgiving Day game, and still close proximity. The programs have kind of swapped their direction the past couple of years, but Coach Fusatola is back at Williamstown and building that from the foundation up. So Washington Township at number 6. At number 5, Holy Spirit, very impressed with them against Camden High. And Mason Forte is a heck of a weapon as a kicker. I think he was all South Jersey last season. He proved why against Camden with those 3 field goals. If you get a chance to go back and watch any of those, I tweeted them out. They're straight up in the air, and man, they were far. The kid, he probably would be good from 50 in the right circumstance. So Holy Spirit, they're going to host Cedar Creek this weekend. That's a big game down in that Cape Atlantic League region. Speaking of that, Mainland, 31-0, got that Millville taste out of their mouth, Rod, took it to Cherokee. They have a big one this week. We have them at number 4. They're playing the team at number 3, who also, look, they have a chance to bounce back after their game in St. Augustine. Julian Turney, the big back. They got a lot of guys. Let's just say that. They're big up front. It's going to be a game between the tackles, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I can't wait to watch that one as well. That's a big game. Both teams are kind of on the cusp of figuring out who they really are. It's still early. What are we in, week 4?
Yep.
It's still early. So they're still
week
trying
5, maybe. No, week 4, but game 5.
Well, game 5, yeah.
I don't know why we call it week 0 anymore.
Yeah, that definitely confuses me.
Everybody plays on week 0. Can't we just call it week 1?
Yep. Week.
Every week when I go through this, I'm like, this is week. And I always get it wrong. And Mac would make fun of us for the math, but he's not here. As we said, he had to leave. So too bad. Winslow Township at number 2, undefeated. Impressive statement game against St. Augustine. 21-7. Upton stepped up. Huge for them. Talented playmaker. They have a number of kids across the board that can go the distance anytime they touch the ball. They also have a great defense, as they showed against the prep. If you hold St. Augustine to 7 points, you played some physical ball up front. That's all I know. You came with your hard hat on. And I know they're going to pack it again when they make the trip down to Wheaton Field to face number 1. It's no question they've been number 1 for us from the beginning. I think it's consensus across South Jersey. Millville is at number 1. I can't think of a game that's been more just kind of anticipated from the beginning, Rod. Like, I think when we saw the schedules, we were talking about down at Battle at the Beach. You just go right ahead and you circle that one and say, I know exactly where I'm going to be on September 27th.
For sure. And I think, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think the anticipation lived up to what we were waiting for.
Yeah.
Both of these teams in the summertime, they look very good, and that's what we were expecting. But for them to still be undefeated when they meet each other makes it even bigger. And the way they've been winning makes it a even bigger game. You have everything to make this the game of the year in terms of the players, the record, the anticipation, the buildup, the timing that is happening as well.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Minnick was in here, our buddy Kev, he commented, these teams are like carbon copies of each other, in a lot of ways in terms of how, the talent that's out on the field and the ability and how they can play. what I love about it is, you know, whoever you ask, you get a different pick. You know, this game is truly a game where there's some people who will just tell you Winslow is the team. I've seen them play. I know they have the kids all across the board. They're tough. They have Parker. And there's other people who say, "Nah, Millville is the team." So there's going to be a lot of bragging rights, a lot of conversations just from person to person on this one, right? Like my buddy picks Millville, I pick Winslow, whatever. We'll see what happens. I don't pick anybody. You don't either, Rod. I know that.
I don't.
We don't pick anybody, but I think it's going to be fascinating, and all eyes are going to be on that game.
What I'll say to people watching that are the casual fans that know the names of the Brooks and Cam Millers and Marcus Upton. It's some guys that you might want to keep your eye on. For Millville, you want to keep your eye on Collins, linebacker.
Yep.
He's the guy that kind of got this whole thing jump-started down at the Battle at the Beach with the fumble. Yep. You want to keep your eye on Wallace. He's a linebacker, and I believe they're leading rusher at the moment. And then for Winslow, you want to keep your eyes on Hurd, playing linebacker, coming off the edge. Ali. A lot of people kind of, Ali Duckett.
You know that.
And those are guys that don't get the big pub right now, but they're on really good teams with amazing players, with superstars. But those guys are really good, and don't be surprised if it's not the people that we are expecting to have big games. Just don't be surprised.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of these games is everybody has a chance to make a name for themselves. When your number's called, are you going to pick up? Are you going to? Kids won't know this now, but are you going to accept the charges? Right. And these are the types of games you remember forever. Anybody who's there, I know a lot of people from South Jersey going down to this game. Be safe, everybody, on your travels down.
And let me just say this is the last part of it, Mark. Yeah. A lot of the kids that are playing, the Aiden Dawkins, some of these other guys that are playing, we've been watching these kids play since they've been 8 years old. So, even younger than that. I have old pictures of, some of the players. So it makes it that much more to me and to some of the fans who have been following them through the youth ranks, and to get to see them right now. I'm proud of all of them, and that's why I can't pick. That's why I could give my opinion of how both teams play, but I'm not going to pick it. I'm not picking a winner. Not at all.
I'm just excited. Man. It's going to be one of the highlights of the regular season. We know that. And again, as we said before, the most tantalizing thing about it is it may just be chapter 1. To soak it all in, because we may need to remember every little bit if we come back and talk about chapter 2 down the line, as both these two teams are favorites, depending on who you ask, which one is which, to win Group 4, at least in the South and Central and beyond. So we shall see. Friday night, 6 p.m., Wheaton Field, Millville, New Jersey. Millville Thunderbolts, number 1, host number 2, Winslow Township Eagles, or as some of the former alums have said here in the chat earlier, Edgewood. We'll be back next week, same time, 7 p.m. right here, whether you're watching on Facebook at SJ Glory Days or on YouTube at D2 Sports Network. D2 Sports Network, my guy Rod. Great job today, Rod. Great job last week, too. Studio B, he gets it done here. Coach Mack had to leave early, but it was great being here with you guys. I missed you last week, but thank you again, Kevin Emmons, for your help and support. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. We'll see you next week. Have a safe, happy, and football field weekend.
Yes.